We're on.
Oh, hi. It's getting plugged in. Hi, everybody. So today we are here live from the barn and we're talking about our 90-day recap after starting with the MAAAX equine LongFibre Forage cubes, which is just a really long word for these hay cubes that we started using exclusively 90 days ago. So we have tried them in the past, love the product. If you have not seen the first video that we did about these and where we had Erin Flynn, the equine nutritionist, here with us talking about kind of the reason why we wanted to try them and the longer chop length, the bentonite that's used to bind them rather than the lime, and just some of the reasons why the product was developed, then I would strongly suggest that you watch that one. I'm happy to link that for you in the comments when we're done here, or you can always find those on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel after the fact, or you can just shoot me a message and I will get that link over to you. But essentially, these are made by MAAAX Equine. The MAAAX Equine is a company that's been around and into agricultural for multiple generations. The chop length in these cubes, what makes these cubes different from other cubes is the chop length. So the fibers are actually significantly longer. Makes more sense if I show it to you. If you compare those to other cubes, the chop length is longer. The pieces are actually longer. They're much easier to break apart. You can actually break them apart with your hand. And the longer chop length makes the horses have to chew for a longer amount of time. So the longer that they're chewing for, the more saliva they're producing, and the more buffer they have against ulcers and colics and all kinds of things. These are 60% alfalfa and 40% timothy, so they're a little bit higher in alfalfa than some other cubes. They're fantastic for performance horses, fantastic for the horses, the type of horses that we are keeping. And we decided to, we had been using a few different types of hay cubes in the past. We decided to exclusively start using these MAAAX cubes. MAAAX presented us with this opportunity 90 days ago. So today what we're going over is the kind of the recap of how it's all gone, and we're going to break it into a few different measurements, I guess, values. One is palatability, how well the horses ate it. The second was the efficiency of feeding. The third is the actual presentation of the horses, the results that we had with the horses on the cubes. The fourth is, of course, the cost, which there have been lots of questions about. And then the fifth is any of the other considerations that we've had in the last 90 days, you know, just with the time of year and stuff. Because as you guys know, we don't like to promote any of the products that are inside of our tack shop that we're selling are products that we use or actually using in the barn a lot. So all that being said, do you want to start with who we've been feeding, what kind of horses we have here, and who all has been on the cubes the last 90 days? For somebody who doesn't know us.
So all the horses have been on it to some degree. We have some horses that we've put, there's 4 or 5 that we put on strictly these, no hay, no baled hay. We have some that we put on at different rations of it. Most of the horses are on still a fairly alfalfa hay, and then we put these in the feeders, in the corner feeders at night. We give everybody, it would be about half a bucket, I guess, in the corner feeders. Everything from 2-year-olds to, well, we say aged
How old
horses,
is that
but
pony?
5-year-olds.
How old is that pony, the kid's pony?
That's a whole special.
Yeah.
But yeah, like most of the horses are anywhere from 2 to 5 here. We have a few teenage show horses that are around here, but most of them are 2 to 5-year-olds, young horses, still growing and kind of in heavy work because they're being trained on and getting ready to go show.
Yeah, and on kind of custom. So this is the really hard thing when somebody says, well, how does it compare cost-wise to hay, which we'll get to a little bit more, but we do a very kind of custom feed. Like each horse gets what they need, and it changes as their needs change. It changes as we, see that they need a little bit more. It's not it's not a measurement that we take and then every horse gets that ration and that's all. So that's where it gets just a little bit tricky, but they're all on a little bit different amount based on what they need. And then the other way that we're feeding them is inside of our feeders. We have those stall grazer corner feeders, which a lot of you are already familiar with, and they have the corner sections. So for most of the horses that are also eating hay, the hay goes in the middle section, so they still have a whole bunch of hay, and then we're putting the cubes in those sections on the side. For the horses that are on full cubes, they're getting cubes in that big middle section. I also know a few people that have been buying the cubes from us and trying them themselves. I have somebody who puts hay cubes down at the bottom of their feeder, and then they layer on the hay at the top, so the horse has to eat through the hay to get down to the cubes. And that works really well for that horse because then he always has something in front of him, and he will eat through his hay to get down to his cubes. It's kind of a lot of different ways that you can feed them. When we go to the horse shows, we put them in a bucket, just like a regular water bucket, and hang it up in the stall, and then just fill that bucket up. And what else do we have to talk about? Just how to start out with. I think that's it, right? So the 5 ways that we were going to kind of measure the success of the product, I guess, is palatability. So how well the horses like them. Do you want to touch on that?
I think all the horses really liked them. They all, most of them will go for that before grain, and a couple of the horses would eat the grain first. One horse would eat the hay first, but she always cleaned up what was in there. I think that's like with every horse, right? It's just everything's a little different. The one horse, likes to push them out of the feeders.
And then eat them on the ground?
Yeah, who knows why. Still cleaner than anything else. Same horse also does the same thing with hay for some reason. But that's one horse out of 30. Most of them go right into them hay cubes, just, they like it
we
more than
used
hay
to
and
feed
grain.
hay and then have the cubes there for when they were done their hay, so that they always had something that they could be eating. And then when we started feeding with these, we found that almost every single horse goes for the cubes first, finishes the cubes, and then maybe touches their hay. And a lot of them go for, like you said, the cubes before they go for their grain. Don's using it because he was trying to get some medication into his horse, and his horse would sift through the grain so that she didn't have to eat it was a powder, wasn't it, that he was giving her? Or is it a pellet? I actually don't even know. But when he gives the cubes, he can get all that medication, and so he's just giving it for that reason, to get the medication in, which I thought was kind of...
Yeah, they were cleaning up the bottom
I
of
wouldn't
the
have thought
feeders.
to use it that way. Yeah, they're cleaning up the bottom of the feeder because they want to get all those cubes.
I think that's a big thing with any feed, is figuring out what works for your horse.
I'd say palatability wise, that was an overwhelming success. Like they liked it way more than I thought they would. And when we go to the horse shows and we fill up those buckets of hay cubes, they get in there and they're so content, they're so quiet, they get that dreamy look on their eyes where they're just sitting there chewing. That was huge. Yeah,
especially for young horses, when you take them to the shows the first time, you're always worried about them stressing out and whatnot.
Yeah.
But and at the horse shows, all we do is we just keep the bucket full. We just, keep giving it to them. I don't restrict hay. I don't restrict hay at home, and I don't do it at the shows. Never have. I always put hay nets up. So this way, we're just putting it in the buckets and using it that way, and definitely like it more than the hay nets. a lot easier, horses are eating it better.
Yeah, so that's our next topic, is the efficiency of feeding the cubes. We were gonna kind of evaluate, are they easier? And for us, like, not everybody is paying staff to feed their horses, but for us, the efficiency of feeding them and the efficiency, you know, if the horses are cleaning them up in the stalls and we're not having to clean up a bunch of hay, that saves us a considerable amount of money. So do you want to talk a little bit about the efficiency of feeding them?
I think the efficiency in feeding them is way easier because, like, at the horse shows, I don't even have to worry who's helping me. It's just, if the bucket's almost empty, fill it up. Plain and simple.
Yeah.
You know, no big deal. And the efficiency, aside from at the shows and when you're feeding at home, but like not having to move hay, not having to load hay. Like if we go to a
Not having to clean up hay off the ground, clean up hay out of the stalls.
Oh yeah. But like when we go to a horse show and we load up, you know, we have a 6-horse trailer, so you put 6 horses for a 5-day horse show. That used to be a lot of bales of hay on my roof rack, and it's just so much easier bringing the bags.
Takes up way less space, easier to load on at this end, easier to unload at that end, easier to feed while we're at the show. It's easier to feed here. You know, when I talked to Lindsay and Sarah about them, they were both like, yeah, it's way easier, way tidier. And you know, both of them said the horses just love them. Efficiency, so palatability and efficiency were both amazing. The results from the cubes with the horses, so are they looking better? Are they looking the same? Are there things that we would change about it? How do you feel about the overall result of the product, like as a feed? You want to speak on that a little bit?
I think the biggest one that helped out was those young horses that were just a little stressed out. That's where I noticed a bigger difference, you know, them just eating that little bit different. I mean, we're in southwestern Ontario, we have great hay around here, but boy, the last year and a half, it's been tough to get good hay. We have decent hay this year, not as good as I would like. So this as a add-on has just been great. Those ones that, you know, some of them young horses that maybe just a little bit sucked up and tucked up, it sure put a little bloom on them and, you know, helped over their backs and stuff, and I think it really helped out. By bloom, I mean, like, you know, filled out their necks, the top lines across their loins, that top side that gets just a little beat down if they're just not eating enough and they're just stressing out a little bit.
Or some of the ones that look a little bit pot-bellied are looking a lot better.
And I think it just gets through to, it's easy to digest, it's useful feed, and it's going through good. And you know, we've always tried real hard to get the best hay, and we got good hay, but it's not as good as we've had other years. I hate to admit that, but that's the fact of it is. It just, you know, and some of them that maybe weren't eating as much hay as I'd like them to, you know, when we'd start crossing them over. And that's why we put like 4 or 5 of them strictly on hay cubes. They just weren't eating much hay anymore. They were waiting for the hay cubes. So we just went, well, we're just going to go that way. Give them whatever they can and go that way. And it worked out real well. No, I think for that part it was awful good.
I noticed a difference in the hair coats. I mean, June is a nice time anyways for horses. It's really hard to compare. We started feeding these in April, so it's really hard to compare what they looked like in April to what they look like, you know, June, the beginning of July, because this is typically when they look really good. Their hair coat's all shedded out and they look nice. But even the horses that we've had here, you know, for their whole lives, there's a couple that are 10 or 11 that we've known for their whole lives. There's a bunch of them that have never looked better, and that's been one of the main comments from a lot of the people that have tried it, is their horses have never been as shiny as they are. And I've shared some of those pictures. You guys have seen some of that. And I don't know what that comes from. I don't know whether that's
good hay.
I mean, obviously good nutrition, but is it also because their stomachs are more settled and they're, you know, the idea with the chop length, the longer chop length, is that they're spending more time chewing, so they're producing more saliva. They're getting more of the nutritional value from the cubes. And then they have, because of the increased amount of saliva, they have a better buffer against ulcers. And we know that 90% of performance horses have some sort of ulcer. So is it because they're getting the better nutritional value? Is it because they have a better buffer against ulcers? I don't know, but it definitely is noticeable in them, and worth keeping up with, I think.
I've always said, my big belief, and this goes back to my dad, though, is good hay is cheap. That's the cheapest feed you'll ever feed. And I've definitely struggled the last year finding as nice a hay as I wanted. And this was a great way to kind of get that back up.
Yeah.
And it was nothing, you know, everybody around the country was just in the same thing. The rain was at the wrong times. And I mean, I feel really bad for the guys down south that are, you know, have to order in their hay from different areas. And we're lucky because it's around here, but it's still just easier to do this than it is to go out and try to find really good hay. And I know we have lots of people that come in here, they tell me they have good hay, and you know, it's cattle hay at best, but they're told it's good hay. They never test it. They never look into what's in it. And then when they change into good hay, you know, the grain bill goes down.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is cost. So cost-wise, if you compare bag to bag for the MAAAX LongFibre forage cubes versus another type of hay cube, the bags themselves are a little bit lighter. They're, 20 kilogram, and most of the other ones are about 22 kilograms. And these bags are $19.99 versus, what were the other ones, $17 and $18, $17.99, $18.99 that we were paying, I think, before. So they are a little bit lighter and a little bit more expensive. That actually was not the question that we got most of the time. The question that we got most of the time was how do the hay cubes compare to the cost of hay? And a lot of people were saying, well, how much is it? Like, you know, if you normally feed a bale and a half of hay per day or something, and it's like, that's a really hard value to measure. You know, do you know what you're paying per pound for your hay? You know, do you know how much alfalfa in it, like how is your hay testing? And what we ended up doing with a lot of ours was, because they were doing so well with the cubes and we were feeding a bunch of the cubes, we were feeding significantly less hay, and we are feeding less grain. So you actually have to look at the cost of your grain as well. And in some cases, I think we would actually be saving on medication for ulcers. You know, those two young horses.
Off of ulcer meds,
the two we took off of ulcer meds, and ulcer meds are expensive.
I think for me the biggest one is, though, is we're not putting bales of hay up. They come in a bag, boom, it's there.
Yeah.
You order it by the tote or by the skid, not by, you know, I don't have to give up 2-3 days every June and one day every August to put hay in.
Yeah.
Worry about it. Did it come off, or is it the day I'm supposed to be leaving? You ordered, it's there. No machinery, no nothing. Like, you don't worry about it.
Yeah.
They make it. It's the product there.
There has to be a cost value for just the efficiency of them. So I guess
And the ones that we're doing free choice, they're only going through just over a shade over half a bag a day.
Yeah.
If we free choice them.
Yeah.
So it's actually not. I think it works out better.
So when I look at our feed bill over 90 days, and again, this is where it's hard to look at from April to July, right? Because in April we're still feeding a lot of hay. In July we're feeding, you know, they're eating more grass and whatever. We're also taking them to the horse shows and feeding exclusively hay cubes at the horse shows. It's hard to really put a value on it, but having switched from the less expensive hay cube to this one, which costs a little bit more up front, our hay bill didn't go up. I didn't compare our vet bills because our vet bills are all over the place, but I actually think overall it either costs us the same or it saves us money directly on our feed bill using these, and that doesn't include how much it will save us paying staff because it's just so efficient, and how much easier it is, you know, for us to feed them as well.
I think anybody that argues, you know, well, we don't have staff, we just do it ourselves.
There is a value for your work.
Well, and there's a huge value in, I don't have a hay wagon going down the road, I don't have to repair tires, I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And like for me, the biggest one with hay, I actually never minded doing hay, but my gosh, it would always come off on the worst days. You know, you'd be trying to get gone to a show on a Thursday, and the hay's ready to bail, and you have to do it. So then
you can't find anybody to help you. And
yeah, it was always a pain. But aside from that, when you just throw it in there full free choice at just over half a bag, you know, compared to a good bale of hay anymore, it's $6-7. You know, that gets pretty close really fast.
Well, and you know, when we're cleaning stalls out, we're not taking any hay out with it. So cleaning out stalls is easier. I mean, it's really rewarding to look at the manure pile and not see any hay in it.
Oh,
really rewarding.
I'm so cheap, I hate seeing hay in the manure pile.
Oh, yeah.
I do not want to buy something, bring it in here, and then have to throw it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay,
I don't know if you've ever heard that or not, that I'm cheap. But.
Yeah, I've heard that before. Okay, so any of the other considerations, what do you think the cons are? Like, what do you think, if there's somebody watching this that's like, well, should I feed this to my horse? What are the horses that you think don't need it? It's not necessary for, shouldn't have it.
Well, I think if you have good pastures, you just let them be out in the pastures.
Yeah.
You know, because then you're eliminating baling hay or cubing it.
Yeah.
I think, you know, if you've got a pasture horse, you could do it as a treat, but I mean...
That's holding its weight and
yeah, I think
not in heavy work. And
that'd be the only one I would see is,
yeah.
You know, I shouldn't say pasture ornament, but yeah, just a pasture. Like if you have pasture in your backyard, you know, then you have your own hay source.
Yeah.
Then you wouldn't need an add-on, but that would be the only thing that I would... as far as I think, the only drawback is the mentality of horse people, that we get so stuck on what we grew up with and what we're told. It's a mindset thing. You know, I have a couple trainers, friends who...
In terms of like feeding cubes versus hay, or in terms of the cost?
Well, just
like
feeding all across the board on feed or anything. You know, we're told... like I know I have lots of people that bring horses in and they say, well, you can't feed full alfalfa. Well, I've done it for years. I like it. You know, oh no, I was told you should never do that. Well, if you got a pasture ornament horse, yeah, you shouldn't do that.
You shouldn't do that, yeah.
You know, but we get so, and I think that's the thing with hay cubes where a lot of people are stuck on them, is they're stuck on the idea that it's something different. You know, that's the only thing I see with them. I mean, I like them. We're using them. We like them.
We did have one horse that wolfs them down. Like he just eats them too fast. So that I wouldn't recommend for a horse that does that. That's one horse out of a lot of horses. The idea is that they spend more time chewing. So if you have a horse that just wolfs it down really fast, that might not be the best one.
There's another fix for that though. I mean, I used to work for an old boy when he had horses that did that with hay cubes or grain. You put a big grain tub or like our feeders, you know, something like that, and you put either cement cinder blocks in them or big rocks, you know, where they have to move them around.
Or you wet them. You just wet them. We haven't been wetting them at all. That's the other question that we've had a lot is, are you wetting them? We haven't been wetting them at all because they break apart. You know, they're big, long pieces, and they break right apart in your hand. So you can wet them, and they break apart really quickly. They you know, soften up really quickly, but...
Yeah, they always say for old horses, make a mash out of it.
Yeah, for old horses, if they're having a hard time chewing, they don't have a lot of teeth left, then you could do that.
I might be on hay cubes in a couple of years.
Great, I can't wait. I'm glad we've sourced some. Okay, so questions. Kristen, yeah, your horse is looking awesome. Your horse is attractive to begin with, but he's doing really well on them.
I can't do that.
I know it's really, really bright. Daphne, her 3 are loving it. Yes, Daphne, that's awesome. Are those all of the questions? Yeah. Hi, Catherine. Hi, Pacific Coast Equine. Daphne, Crystal. Gosh, it's bright. Kristen, everybody. Hi, guys.
Here's a really silly question.
What's that?
Pacific, that's West Coast.
Oh, why
right?
do you have to ask me this? Yes,
West Coast?
I think so. Yeah.
And I think hey, there's a perfect thing of, and I don't know where you're at on the West Coast. You know, it's just, I don't know that area, but so many places. You know, we talk about it, Southwestern Ontario. We have great crops. I mean, we grow soybean, corn, everything is all near
West
us.
Coast, yeah.
You know, we have friends that live down south in Florida and Texas and Oklahoma, and they have to bring everything in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the shipping alone is
Yeah.
great. I just seen Ann Lamb was there. I met her on the weekend. She's from New York.
Oh, at the horse show? That's who
Yeah.
you met that you were telling me about? Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Hi,
and then
Ann.
she had, I hope she got home all right. She had tire troubles getting out of
shoot.
there.
Shoot. And actually, there was
She must have
somebody
got home. She's on the thing.
yesterday that commented when I had made the post about Milo. I put one of his baby pictures up. I don't know if you saw it. Put one of his baby pictures up and said he had made his first NRHA check. She was watching on the live feed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Kathy, I think. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so when we were talking about the cons, that's the only con I would say, I forgot to mention this before, is the shipping. I can't ship. You know, I can't ship these. I had somebody try to buy some from Florida. Unfortunately, I can't ship them. That would be something to contact MAAAX about. I know they're trying to get that sorted out.
No, when I meant shipping, I meant like they're bringing hay in by the semi.
Yeah, no, I know. I just meant as far as like our experience in the last 90 days, I know a few people wanted to try them and I physically couldn't get them, you know, well, I probably could have, but I don't know how much the shipping would have cost. Would have cost way more than the bags. Mm-hmm. Shipping is really expensive right now and it's a real problem right now, unfortunately. So,
And MAAAX has a list of dealers.
MAAAX has a list of dealers, yes.
All across the country that do it? Or?
Yes. So you can buy them directly from us. They're on our shop. We would love for you to do that. And if you want to buy a pallet, we can, you know, put together whatever amount of bags you want on a pallet as long as you have a way to unload them at the other end. But you can also buy them through any of the dealers, Sharps. And we met a few people from Sharps over the last little while through delivery and stuff, and they're fantastic. You can contact the closest Sharps to you and order them directly through Sharps, and Sharps do some delivery, so if you want to have a pallet delivered, you can
and they're kind of Guelph-ish area.
They have a few, yeah. They have a few different ones. There's one in Guelph, is there one in Elmer, I think?
Oh, is it?
Yeah, and then one further west, I think.
Oh, okay. I just remember the one up by, I can't remember exactly. I can envision the place because I used to buy some grain there when I was up north.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what road it was on, but I can get you there.
Yeah.
So yeah, the shipping is something that, like anything, you're shipping hay.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you wouldn't ship 4 bags at a time if you're shipping long distances, but
yeah,
if it's by the semi-load and you can figure out the logistics.
Yeah.
You know, everything gets shipped.
Yeah. So you can buy them through us. You can buy them through Sharps, and we're happy to bring them.
There's a bigger list.
Yeah, there is a full list of dealers. So I'll make sure that link is posted here when we finish up live, so that you can access that as well. And there's also Erin, the equine nutritionist, who works for MAAAX, and she's more than happy to answer questions for you if you have questions about the product and about getting delivery sorted out. Was just going to ask about the shipping. Yeah, so we can find, Erin's on here. So Erin can maybe answer about shipping out west. She's saying the main office is in Guelph, but they have 2 locations. Yes. Thanks, Erin. That's fantastic.
Do you want to go for a drive to the West
Julie's
Coast?
asking, yeah, let's go. Julie's asking, she missed the first 5 minutes. Can you substitute this for grain?
Yeah, we have some that we've knocked off all the grain on.
Oh, Pacific Coast Equine is in Oregon.
I'd like to go
Let's
to
go
Oregon.
out to Oregon, yeah. Okay, thanks for being here with us. You guys, I hope that answered your questions. If it didn't, you're more than welcome to leave us some questions here in the comments. We can put you in touch with Aaron. Happy to do that. If you need the contact for MAAAX Equine or any of the dealers, happy to do that for you. If you want to make an order through us, you can do that on our website, which is, if you want to go directly to the tack shop and order them, it's reigningtackcanada.com. Or you can just give us a call and set up a time to come and grab some directly from us. We would love to see you. And that answers all of our questions. I think it's probably obvious that we love the product. We love the company. Aaron is fantastic to deal with. Greg is great. Good people. It always feels good to support good people and a company that is right in Ontario that's producing an amazing product. So we're thrilled.
When we say local, I guess anything that's within a couple hours anymore for us is local, isn't it?
Local, yeah. So we're thrilled about that. We're also thrilled to announce the sponsorship through MAAAX. At MAAAX, we officially have a sponsorship with MAAAX Equine, and we're thrilled to represent that company for the next little while. So if you guys have any more questions, definitely let us know. If you think that we have done a great job representing the company and answering your questions, you can also let Aaron know and let Max know, and we would really appreciate that. You can leave us a review on our Facebook page. That's probably the easiest way to do that. Okay, thanks for being here. Yes, Aaron's on here. Please reach out with any questions. If you're watching the replay and you're on Instagram or you're on YouTube, we'll make sure that you get in touch with Aaron Flynn from MAAAX.
And now you can see her at like half the rodeos in Ontario. She's doing...
Yeah, she's busy.
What's
Sorting.
it called? No, but she's been going with the drill team
Oh, has she? I
to a
didn't
bunch
even
of
know
rodeos.
that. Oh, yes, I did.
I
Yes,
keep
did.
up on
I knew
Facebook.
That. Oh, no, I knew that because she told me she wasn't going to be out to ride for a few weeks because she's doing the drill team. Yeah. Okay, thanks, you guys, and we will see you soon for another Q&A.
Have a good night.